What is happening, everybody? Welcome into Divots and Pivots. Yes, once again, no intro. I'm working on that for you. I promise you're going to hear some musical genius from whatever I can cook up on, whatever sounds I can find on my computer. So don't expect much, but expect greatness. I'm Andrew LeDuc, as always, joined with Keith Fleming here every Tuesday night here, 8 o'clock on That Sports Podcast Network. And once you hear the audio version, that is on Golfer Gang on all Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you choose to listen to us. Thank you for listening to us. But let's jump right into it because we had a hell of a week in the golf world when it comes to news, when it comes to golf in general too. Because we'll get to the I guess story filled win of Gary Woodland, but we can't not start with Mr. Tiger Woods. It's just too big of a story. We have to mention it. For those of you who do not know, Tiger Woods, this is going to sound awful, but once again, flipped a car in a neighborhood in Jupiter, Florida. He was arrested, questioned, and allegedly for DUI, destruction of property, refusing a urine test, blue 00 on the breathalyzer 000, I should say, on the breathalyzer, but they suspect pills. So he pleaded not guilty today, but also came out with a public statement pretty much immediately after that news came out that he's stepping away for a little while to seek treatment and take care of himself. So I'm sure there's going to be some sort of deal in the works there. But I'm coming in fast here. It's been a hell of a day for me. Keith, why don't you start us off by, first of all, I forgot to ask how you're doing. I am so sorry. Let us know how you're doing, and then give me your thoughts on Mr. Tiger Woods.
I'm doing good, man. No need to apologize again. We have real jobs that get in the way of doing this. So no need to apologize. Tiger's my guy. I mean, I got on my I Am Tiger Woods shirt. It's sad. It's basically all I can say. He most definitely has a problem. It's, I don't want to judge him because as somebody who has not had the injuries he has, but I've had my neck fused. I'm on pain medication for that. So I get it. I just don't understand the driving part. Like, I don't. You have all the resources in the world. Mm-hmm. I definitely am not taking my medicine and then jumping behind the wheel. It's just not a good idea. And it's sad. I hope he gets everything together because, I was hoping before that story happened that we would be talking about the news that he's going to play in the U.S. Senior Open, which is something that I never knew if Tiger would do that, if he was going to be willing to play in senior events or if he would kind of look like it's beneath him. And I don't mean that to be like, Tiger's a snob. I just mean when you're the GOAT, like, I don't know how much he, get his fix from the senior tour, but it would be very exciting because the biggest issue he has moving forward is just physically walking golf courses. And on the senior tour, you can ride in a cart. So exactly. I was like very pumped to see that. You remember Phil Mickelson won the very first senior event he played in. So I hope Tiger still gets to that. Obviously, I assume that the Masters is now a no-go.
I would say so, yeah.
Which is a bummer, but totally understand. And I just hope he, gets his life together because, again, I know a lot of people are very upset with him. I totally get it. He was definitely in the wrong here. But, again, as somebody who has dealt with pain, and I have not almost had to have my leg amputated and had all the back surgeries and stuff that he has, it's awful, man. And there's days that I feel like crap, and there is, medication for that for a reason, but you definitely don't need to be behind the wheel.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there because this is, when you think about just not just the amount of surgeries, but the type of surgeries he's had, it's no surprise that he needs pain meds to, I guess, make it through your kind of everyday daily routine, especially when he is trying to make a comeback on, the PGA Tour. And like, there's no shock to us that he has to take a lot of pain meds to get through the day. Like you said, though, the driving part is just where it's like, I know you want your privacy, and you think if you have a driver, you're going to lose a sense of your private dealings or whatever it is you're doing. But at some point, you gotta just suck it up and do it, or you need to find another way to get through your days. And
You're gonna kill somebody, like
right,
straight up.
exactly. It's not even about killing himself at this point. It's about putting others in danger, because that was residential neighborhood. Luckily, it was just a truck that he clipped, but it could have been a kid running out from behind a car with a ball. It could have been anything that could have been much more devastating. So yeah, obviously hope he gets the help that he needs. We're not going to sit here and trash talk him and bad talk him and whatnot. Like, he has a problem. He's now publicly admitting that he has a problem that he needs, or at least that he's saying he has something that he needs help with. And we'll see where it goes from here. It's none of our business from here until he makes it our business again. And I hope people can respect that. It's all right to keep talking about this story, but I do hope at some point we kind of just let it all take its course and see what happens from there, and don't really need to talk about it until it gets put in front of us again, because this is still his life. It's still his long-term life that he's got to deal with after golf, and it goes beyond his legacy at this point. And sad is you said it at the top. Sad is a perfect word for it, because it's just not what we were seeing him teed up for the first time with Jupiter Links at TGL the week before, and having fun out there, and then for this to happen, just a total opposite. Yeah, sad and devastating is pretty good. On happier notes, though, Gary Woodland comes out and wins, and not only wins, but comfortably wins the Houston Texas Open, or the Children's. I said that wrong, but
it's all right. It's a mouthful. It's the Children's Houston Open. Just like this week, Texas. The Valero Texas Open. Like,
that's right. I blended the two tournaments. That's what I did there. Yes, you're right. The Children's Houston Open. Gary Woodland goes out and wins. And if you don't know much about Gary Woodland, the man has been through it over the last 5 to 10 years. With I believe it was brain cancer. He had many surgeries, a lot of health, long. It
ended up being benign, but
right.
He did have to have a tumor removed, which
correct.
Obviously, if they're operating on your brain, not a picnic.
Exactly, and so the cancer part. I apologize about that. That was the wrong word.
Well, they thought it was at first.
Right,
they did think it was. It just luckily for him, it was benign.
Yeah. So, but it's been a very long road back for him. And we did see a little bit about that in, I believe it was the last season of Full Swing is when they touched on him for an episode as well, and that was fantastic to see. So to see him come full circle and come back, and even more so, his Nikolai Højgaard and who was it else that he was playing with in the final round there? Minwoo, thank you. To give him, like, to wait there with him and the applause and like the love and the support that the two of them and the rest of the guys gave him, like, this, you just know he's a guy that people respect and love, and you just love to see. It was a feel good week for a golf win, and for that to be the stark, comparison to what we got with Tiger. It was a nice flip of emotions for Gary Woodland to go out there and get that win again.
Yeah, everybody really enjoyed it. Except for Pro Critic on Twitter, who decided, let me,
I didn't see this. What was this?
You didn't see it?
Oh, no, dude. When I tell you my week was the most disjointed week I've ever had in my life, it's been a week. So I did not see anything on Twitter this week.
I mean, he is such a freaking Liv fanboy, which is fine. I don't care. I just hate that he won't admit that, and he gets like defensive every time that happens. But I wanted to get this. Yeah, here we go. I guess I have to be the bad guy again. I like Gary Woodland, and I'm happy for him. But, all capital letters, it's not like he had to beat the best two players on his tour to win this.
Oh my God.
He beat Sam Stevens, Johnny Kiefer, Paul Waring, and the less good Højgaard twin. And
with the less good one,
he's an idiot. He really is.
Nikolai's been on a absolute fiery streak this year.
This is a guy that gets fired up for every live event.
Well,
When
he's got he's
they were playing 54 holes last year, and it's like 40 guys in the field, and he's going to talk about weak fields, beating 100 plus players. I'm sorry, it's tougher than beating 40 plus players
of course it is.
and having even 10, 20 guys, which they don't, that are better than everybody in the field that has 144. Like, it's just the difference in great golfers is not much. So anyway, very happy for Woodland. For
Yeah.
those that don't know, my good buddy Ryan Mulvey, who does the Inside Drive pod, he had brain cancer. Still, I mean, unfortunately, it's going to keep coming back, but he's had multiple surgeries. So obviously, he was very fired up for Woodland to win. He has talked about at length just how difficult it is once you have your brain basically worked on, that you start doubting yourself, no matter, if you forget something, or like you just immediately think, well,
Huh,
is this
that's
because they
interesting.
cracked open my cranium and, cut something off of my brain? But I'm very happy for Woodland. And I wish that the real story was, also just the fact that he is now the longest knocker on tour. And I don't think enough people are making that part of, like, just this unbelievable season he's starting to put together.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he is literally right now longer than Beefy Bryson in terms of ball speed, in terms of driver distance.
Which is
That
wild.
is a weapon. And that is something that will allow him to compete in a lot of tournaments moving forward. So I don't think this is a one-off. I think that there's a good chance he wins again, maybe even this year. And I'd like to see him maybe win a major this year.
Oh God, I would love to see a major. That'd be amazing this year. But I didn't even realize, because I just haven't looked that deep at his stats yet, that he's one of the longest. That's just crazy. Because when he was,
His ball speed's at 190 now.
that's absolutely insane. I remember sending you a text after I was on the simulator the other, like, a couple weeks ago. And I was like, guess what? My ball speed's at like 147. I felt so good. Like, to think 50 miles an hour difference between me and him that's just what these other planet these guys are playing on. But for Gary Woodland to what with always been to get physically back there, that is wild. Because I do think when people forget, when he was really surging before he had the health stuff years ago, like, he was a big hitter. Like, so that is his natural game. It's his natural swing. But it wouldn't be crazy
But
to
like
think,
Adam
like,
Scott, he's gaining distance in his 40s, which is just almost unheard of.
Right, and that's absolutely wild. Because, and like you were alluded to with when you have the anything with your brain structure, you would imagine that it would take some sort of effect on, maybe he tweaked his swing in a way that he's now playing for precision instead of distance. But kudos to him. He's going out there and he's crushing it, and you gotta love to see that. So so just good on Gary Woodland. And yes, I'm sitting here really fast trying to put together my some of my notes for this coming week with the Valero
Texas Open.
Yeah, so I want to quickly, just because I have it right up in front of me, let's see here. This field. So this field, obviously we're in full prep mode for the Masters next week. So this field is interesting because we do have some bigger names kind of mixing at the top, but then
gotten a little weaker because we've had Colin withdraw, we've had Hogard withdraw, we've had Woodland withdraw. But it's a pretty strong field. It's stronger than the field last week for sure.
Yeah, last week's field was susceptible, which I'm so mad at. Like I said, I had such a busy week. I never actually ended up playing any lineups. But I sent out my top 10 to a few of you listeners who reached out to me personally. So thank you for that. I sent it out to you, and my top 10 fucking crushed it, of course, on a week that I don't actually put any money on it. But I was there for it, and I of course I probably would have won some money. So it's a shame. Yeah, no, I'm looking at this field, and the field is pretty. We got Tommy at the top at 10-5. We got Ludwig right behind him. And then I'll tell you what, we'll dive into it here, but like this 9K range has got some juicy names in it. The 8K, like, I think this feels like, just off of my initial gut instinct, looking at the fields, giving it a quick once over. I feel this looks to me like the type of field where ownership is really just not even going to be a factor this week. I feel like it's going to be spread out, because I feel like you can really play any combination of players this week and be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've ended up with a pretty small player pool this week. I did the same thing last week, had a really good week. But there is, I mean, I think that a lot of people are gonna jam Fleetwood,
Right.
Oberg in there. I think it's a huge mistake.
Mhm.
I think Russell Henley 9,800 is by far the guy that you want to anchor lineups with this week. He is literally tailor made for this golf course. He finished fourth here last time he played. I mean, you got to drive it straight. Check. He's the straightest driver on the planet. You got to be very good with your wedges, with 25% of approaches coming from 50 to 120, or excuse me, inside 125. He's top 20 from that distance.
Mhm.
You got to be able to scramble. He's top 5 in that. You got to be able to avoid bogeys. He's top 20 in that. Like, I think Russell's got a great chance to win this week. He's been playing really well too. I know he has a one missed cut, but 19th or better in every other start. I just love Henley. And again, remember, this is a course that Brian Harmon won on last year.
Mhm.
And that is one of the things I always do when I start, doing my research, figuring out what stats I want to use, is what kind of player, won here before, what kind of players have won here before. And the fact that we've had both a Spieth and Brian Harmon, in the last 5 years, tells you that you need somebody that good with their wedges, can avoid bogeys and scramble. And I think that's more important than a lot of things. I see a lot of people putting
Okay.
emphasis on, good drives gained, etc. I agree that it's important, but this is also a less than driver course. So, um, say like a guy like Thorbjornsen, he may not even have to hit driver if he doesn't want to. I don't know what the game plan is, but if they don't get significant rain Wednesday or Thursday, which it is supposed to rain, it's been a very dry and hot winter in
Mhm.
Texas, and that course
Okay.
already plays firm and fast. And I think it's going to play extremely firm and fast, meaning even probably more, shots inside of 125, meaning even more balls roll off. Because again, one of the characteristics of this course, similar to Memorial Park last week, making sense with Augusta right around the corner, a lot of runoffs, a lot of, mow down areas and shots that are going to hit the green and then end up, 10, 15 yards off. So, but I am fired up about this week. I hate the betting odds are disgusting. Like, just absolutely
Okay.
disgusting.
See, I haven't been looking much at straight bets, so I haven't really had a feel for how that's been going this
There's
year.
12
I've just
guys
been on
that are
DFS.
under, I believe, 30 to 1.
Okay.
And I don't, and this is no disrespect to anybody in the field, but maybe 2 or 3 of them should ever be, in my opinion, below 30 to 1. I don't care what field it is in a
Mhm.
144 player field. Like, that's these sports books, man, they've gotten carried away, I think.
Well, we have known that, so that's not a shock. Let's see. I'm gonna take out this and this. So yeah. So what I've landed on here for my stats. You were just listing off a bunch from. We do have quite a few in common. The 5 that I'm using this week is strokes gained ball striking. I'm gonna use strokes gained par fours 450 to 500. I'm gonna kind of double dip in a way here. I'm gonna do birdie or better, and then I'm also gonna do bogey avoidance. I'm gonna try to double dip. And then you might consider this triple dipping, but I'm also gonna do scrambling as well. So, like you said, though, like it does make sense to hone in on that wedge plan. I feel like all 3 of those together, like that's it. Yes, it could be. I'm gonna get a very specific group of players out of this, but I'm kind of all right this week with that.
Man, like, again, you talked about the par fours. The par fives are some of the hardest on the PGA Tour. I don't know if they still rank first. I know they're one of the, top 2 or 3 hardest set of par fives
Hmm.
that they play. They're long. That's where a lot of that 7,400 yards, comes from. And again, that just means that wedge play, strokes gained around the green, scrambling, all that is encompassed there, like whether it's trying to save a par, or if it's, trying to get up and down like on a par 5 for a birdie, because there's not a lot of eagles made on these par 5s.
Right. So when I do that, what my model spits out, actually, what I'm seeing in my top 10 is quite a bit, like I thought, quite a bit of that 8K range. That 8K range looks very good. Right at the top, we're landing on Siwoo Kim. My model spits out. He is green across the board. The 0 red stats for him when it comes to the key stats. Also, a guy who did pretty good last week, who's been quietly kind of making his way up, and I'm going to butcher this Canadian name. It's all hell, but...
Suitor McGavin.
Is that what we're going to call Sudarshan?
I appreciate
Marahu?
Pat Mayo. You were, I know, absent last week. If you would have watched the 2 Off the Tee show, I butchered it 500 different times. So I appreciate Scott refusing to even try to say it. So he just kept letting me be the idiot. But I heard him say Suitor McGavin on Twitter, and I was like, dude, thank you so much, because
I'm a fan of that.
That will make it so much easier for me moving forward. But yeah, he's my favorite DK play this week by a mile.
Yeah, he's
8,100, finished 6th last week. Remember, he finished 5th at the Players. That was his previous start.
Yep.
And talked about this last week. When you are top 25 in driving distance, driving accuracy, and putting, pretty good. Like, that's a pretty good combo. And then he's also a really good iron player, and excels at that 50, to 125 number that I'm talking about as well. So he's in pretty much every cash lineup this week.
Yeah, he's feeling himself right now, and I'm curious. I want to look up, just because I mentioned the ownership. Like I said, I really don't expect ownership to be much.
He was only 10% owned last week, which I thought everybody was going to be on him last week, and they were not, which gives me a little bit of hope.
Yeah, let's see. Where is
this week? It's not going to be astronomical.
He's 8,100. Here he is. So he's right now projected, according to BetSparts Golf, he is projected at 13 to 14% owned.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So who else is up there? What's the top guys?
All right. So, what for ownership?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So the top owned guy projected right now, I'll give you the guys that are over 20% projected owned right now. Jordan Spieth at 28, 29. Robert McIntyre at 23. And let me just say, like, not that I think Jordan Spieth is going to play bad, but this feels like everybody knows Jordan Spieth crushes the Texas swing. And I think everybody was bummed out they couldn't play him last week, so they really wanted to play him this week. Is what that 28% is speaking to me as.
Well, he's also got a great track record here too.
He does, yes. So it does line up. So it's no surprise there. But yeah, Robert McIntyre around 23%, Sepp Straka 22, Ludwig Oberg same thing 22, Russell Henley at 21, and then Tommy Fleetwood at 20. So yeah, the 6 highest owned projected guys are all, over $9,200 this week. And even down, let me see here. The first non 9K and above guy is Denny McCarthy at 8,200, who's projected between 14 and 15% owned. Like I said, I'm fine living in that 8K range if that's where I'm going to get a slight ownership edge this week. In GPP, obviously. Once again, I speak GPP, you speak cash, but that's a lot of ownership on the top end of this price pool that I just don't think you have to go and force yourself into it.
Yeah, I mean, again, McCarthy's another guy that great track record here. He's finished top 20 each of the last 2 years. I do like the 8K range as well. I mean, there's basically most of my lineups are going to probably have a combination of Henley, Straka, Hideki. Like that's just going to
Mhm.
be two of those guys are going to be in almost every one of the lineups.
It's fair, yeah.
And then two of the three guys of Mitchell, Suda McGavin, and Brian Harmon, who also I think are just all great values. Mitchell playing well, fits the model for this course, and has a great record here. Finished 26 or better in every start. Uh, Harmon, I know some people are going to say, well, his form's bad. You look at his forms, like his results last year and his stats coming into this event, which again, he won it. It's almost identical, like almost 100% identical. He's still 33rd in driving accuracy. That is Harmon's superpower, is that when he gets on golf courses where it's really difficult to get the ball in the fairway or to not get yourself in trouble, because you watch like on holes where if it's more of a benefit to miss left and say miss the fairway than it is to say be on the right side of the fairway, he's going to be left. Like he's just really good at controlling his tee balls. So I feel really good about him in that 7,900 range. And then I've been going a few different ways, but there's some guys in that kind of low to mid 7K range I like, and there's two guys this week in the 6K range I really like. One's Tom Hoagie, who he's 6,500, great record here, great record in these kind of courses. And the 6,600 play is Bronson Burgone, which if you don't know who that is,
I was going to ask you about
it's
him.
okay. I don't know who. I didn't know who the hell he was either. Bronson is a Korn Ferry Tour 38-year-old journeyman. He had finished top 20 in every Korn Ferry start so far this season. He got into the field last week in the Houston Open thanks to, I believe it was 4 different withdrawals. He was like the 4th or 5th alternate.
Yeah.
And he went out and made the most of it, finishing 10th, which obviously that got him into the field this week.
Yeah.
But what is so impressive and why I am going to be playing him a lot this week in cash, even though, again, he's a 38-year-old journeyman on the Korn Ferry Tour, is he's been playing well this season. But if you look at his stats from the field last week, he was 2nd in putting, 3rd in driving accuracy, 4th in scrambling, and he made the least bogeys of anybody in the field in Texas. And of course that there are similarities, like Memorial Park is definitely one of the comp courses that I used this week. I like him. And again, you can get him at almost 4-1 to top 20. And some books, you can still get him at like 201 to win. So the top 5, top 10 odds are really good. And it's very highly unlikely that he's going to have back-to-back, obviously, top 10 performances. But he's obviously feeling very good about his game because when you're an alternate, sometimes it's tough because you don't know you're going to get in. They kind of shove you in last minute. You don't really get to prepare the way, you normally would. And he went out and balled. And again, if somebody can drive it that straight, especially at Memorial Park, which is not the easiest driving golf course in the world, he's a really good driver of the golf ball. He's got to be. And then the way he putted and scrambled, he's obviously got a great short game. So I think you can do a lot worse than 6,600. And that would allow you, if you want to play 3 guys in the 9K range,
right,
you can.
Yeah, I love Burgoon. Yeah, he's like I said when you first brought up his name, he's number 3 in my model. I wanted to ask you about him, and you beat me to him, so that's fantastic. You brought up Brian Harmon. 2 people are hating on his form right now, which I get because if you're just looking at his stats, like sure he's not ranking out necessarily well in like a per tournament on some of these stats we're looking at, but if you look at his results, he did have a T11 at the Players. He hasn't missed a cut since the Phoenix Open, including another T19 at Pebble Beach. So, like, sure, he's not modeling out great. But like you said, this is a less than driver course, something that brings him right up into this field. And it's just the style, of course, just suits him. Like, it does feel like you can get him up. And what's Brian Harmon's projected ownership? Actually around 10%, so I'm kind of surprised by that. Burgoon was just under 5% projected, so Both fantastic values, either way. So the other guys in my top 10 that I'm modeling out right now, no surprise here. Ludwig, Tommy, they're up at the top for a reason in this field. Makes sense. Ricky Fowler is also modeling out fantastic for me. At 8,800, he's probably going to be someone that I'm going to be getting, because every time I've played him this year so far, he's been having a good year. I've been getting him at the right time. So he's usually someone I miss on as far as like just getting the timing wrong. So I'm going to try to probably keep riding that, hoping to keep get it right. You mentioned Keith Mitchell. He's also in my top 10. Jordan Spieth, of course, Texas Swing. We mentioned him. And then Russell Henley as well is at number 10. But Michael Thorbjornsen is someone that I think we need to come back to here because he was obviously, he got off to a hot start to begin the year with a T18 and then a T3 at the Phoenix Open. The T18 was at the Farmers. And then people got excited about him. He didn't really perform great at Pebble Beach. He missed the cut at the Cognizant. But since then, he at the API 33rd, Players 22nd, last week 14th. So he's definitely started to trend down, but he caught himself. And he's been slowly week to week since then coming back. And that's the type of trending that I like to see at this time of year, because guys that got off to hot starts so often disappear, at this time of year. You don't see them again. That's what we all thought was going to happen to Ben Griffin last year. He was able to keep it on. Michael Thorbjornsen has the ability to potentially keep riding this and keep rising up. So I think I'm going to be back going to Thorbjornsen this week. He's also only at around 10% projected ownership. So at 8,900, between the stats, between his form, between his ownership, he seems like a slam dunk for me. Pairing him up with like a Henley and then going down to a Burgoon or some sort of like mixing of Keith Mitchell and Thorbjornsen. Like, I feel like you can do a lot in this 8K range with some of those guys I just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, him and Fowler, who you mentioned just now, both of them definitely lead the probably I want to win this because I'm not in the Masters. I'm just outside that top 50.
Yeah, we haven't
and
talked about that
they
yet either.
cannot get in the top 50. That's frozen, but you can get into the field with a win.
Right.
Thorbjornsen's was extra devastating because I think when he started the round Sunday, they thought he needed a top 5. Turned out he just needed a top 10, and he was definitely being very aggressive early, and it cost him.
Right. Okay.
I hate that for him. I think he's 51st right now, so he is the first man out of the top 50. But what I love about, Thorbjornsen, there's 2 different ways he can play this course. He hits it so far that if he wants to hit irons, fairway woods off the tee, he can. But he is also somebody who is top 25 in driver accuracy. So he can, if he wants to, just try to overpower this course, which we have seen some people do. And again, it's rare for somebody to be 20th in driver distance and 25th in driver accuracy. That is a very good combination. The other thing I love about him here is very good at scrambling, very good at sand save percentage. He's top 25 in both. The sand save, remember, there is like over 60 bunkers on this golf course, a lot of them at and near the greens. So that is obviously going to play a big part as well. I like both of them. I like Thorbjornsen more, but I think Fowler is probably the safer play for cash because he's just been so steady. But I think Thorbjornsen has like upside to win the tournament, to where we've just seen from Fowler, and I again do not mean any disrespect or anything. It just seems like he can't win a golf tournament anymore, to be honest. And it almost seems like in some ways he's happy with his life, and I would be too, going out there and, top 10, top 20, top 20, top 10, keeping his card, making a very good living. I'm sure he makes a ton off of, just his clothing deals and all that kind of stuff, because he's still one of the more popular players on tour. But I have very little faith that he would win this event. I think Michael Thorbjornsen can absolutely win this event.
I agree with Thorbjornsen. I agree with Ricky Fowler too, that he does seem to have lost that winning kind of it factor in him. But Thor Bjornsson, who he seems to have that growing in him. So I'd rather take, I think what you're alluding to, rather take the guy that's on the rise in that department, not the guy that is, dwindling away from it. So
And what'd you say his ownership was?
Thor Bjornsson, he was at 10, like 10 to 11 right now. So that's fantastic. I just threw this lineup together really fast, and I can't lie that this might just have to be my one lineup across everything this week. But I got Thor Bjornsson, I got Fowler, I got Burgoon, I got Brian Harman, Keith Mitchell, and Hideki.
I like that.
The fact that you can make all those work together, that from the upside. Now, like you said, I do wish the one thing I could change is if I could find a way to get Henley in here. Obviously, I'd have to probably drop even further down from Harman or Keith Mitchell, I would say. Or no, I'd probably say Fowler or Harman I'd drop down from to try to find some money there to afford.
You go Fowler to Suter, you could definitely do it.
Right. So there's something that you could do to try to get Henley in there, because I do agree that Henley, once again, he's still having a good year. I think there was really only 1 week that he really,
he's got one miscut. It was the top Genesis, 20 in every other event.
Yeah, it was the Genesis, and that was, of course, the week that I went like full bore on him, and that was the week he misses the cut. But yeah, he's been absolutely, even going all the way back to, you're right, so he hasn't missed. Geez, the last time he finished outside, holy shit!
Yeah, he's playing.
The last time he finished outside the top 20 was the PGA Championship last May.
I'm telling you, he should be. To me, he should be the cash anchor this week. And again, in cash, you don't have to worry about ownership, but the fact that actually he's 8% less than Spieth and less than Straka, Fleetwood, McIntyre, and right there with Fleetwood. I love that. He's super safe. I really would. I'd be kind of shocked if he doesn't finish top 10 this week, because this golf course sets up so well for him, and we've seen that because he's only played it once since he kind of went to that next level around 2022-23, and that was in 2024, and he finished 4th.
Right. All right, so I just switched this up a little bit. Actually, what I did was I took out Fowler, I put Henley in instead, and then I took out Hideki, and I put in Shooter McGavin instead. And I feel like that gives you, like you said, Thor Bjornsson's got some reasons he wants to win this week. He has the potential. Henley 100% can win in this field this week. And then the other guys, Burgoon, Harman, Mitchell, and Shooter, I'm not going to be able to stop calling him Shooter now. Those guys I think are just 100% capable of easily crushing their value in whatever cash or GPP you play. So I'm just going to have to lock that lineup in this week, I think.
I love it.
I love that lineup. All right, so let's see. So we got, oh, sorry, I'm locked into my favorites. Whoops. All right, anybody else in here that we haven't talked about yet that we feel like should be getting mentioned here? Because I'm going to scroll through here. So what do we feel about a guy? I don't think you mentioned him at all. He doesn't model out necessarily bad for me this week. He's just not necessarily hitting the high ends for me, but he's been playing so good this year, and that's Ryu. Hisatsuni
had a really good finish at this venue last year. It's a course that sets up very well for him. He is, again, not somebody that I've put in too many lineups, because I just Suter McGavin and Brian Harman are basically the same price. So is Keith Mitchell. Right. I like them slightly more, but Rio is I have no qualms if somebody wants to play Rio all over the place. He just seems to be a little more hit or miss week to week. And there's even been some venues that I thought, again, kind of like this one by the metrics, he should, smash, and has not played. Again, great is what I mean, because you really want guys in the 8K and up range to, at least finish top 15, top 20. But I like him. Davis Thompson, 7,500, somebody I really like this week. He's only played here once, finished 44th. That was a few years ago, but excellent wedge iron player. One of the best guys around the greens there is in terms of scrambling and sand saves. And then Matt Messner, 7,300. There's only 8 players in the field who are top 40 in strokes gained approach, strokes gained around the green, fairways gained, and bogey avoidance. It would be the list. Again, this is why I love that John Hallsborough, PGA Touts, does this every week in his article. The list is guys you would think: Hideki, Fleetwood, Henley, Siwoo, Oberg, to your point, Rio, and then there's Matt Messner. So I like that a lot. And then the other guy that I don't think anybody's really talking about, and he's playing really good golf, is Adrian Demont de Chassot at 7,100.
That's why no one's talking about him. Because
He's
they don't want to butcher his name.
He's the slowest player on the planet. I don't know if you guys
I've never actually watched him play.
So I forgot who he was playing with, but they were losing their mind about his pace of play. Like, seriously, like there was apparently one hole where they hit their approach and they walked up to the green before he hit his approach. So I do not condone slow play, but again, he is playing really good golf. He's somebody that excels at scrambling. He's a good driver of the golf ball, like good iron player. He's, playing par fives well. Like I could get into that at 7,100. Like that is, again, because there's only two guys under 7K I really like this week, and it's Burgon and Tom Hoge. But the Chasser, I could get on at 7,100. Again, really good form. Yeah. Like he's playing well, and he's young too. Just like the same thing as Thorbjorn, he is basically a European Thorbjorn. Like I don't believe play golf over here in the U.S. in college, but young guy with a lot of talent that I know. They've been talking about him over in Europe for a while.
Yeah, he's from Belgium. He did go to Illinois. So I'm assuming he played golf there.
And he that might have been how he got his car. Because I think he's also like 23, 24. Because you finish top 10, that's how you can.
Yeah, because he turned professional in 2023. He lives in Ponte Vedra Beach now. So
had a really good year on the Corn Ferry last year. That's right. I remember he came up from the Corn Ferry last year.
Yeah, so he's been hanging around. But yeah, no, I like that shout. And then you mentioned Mac Meisner. Like, so yeah, he's definitely been streaky, but it's also very clear that he likes this, like the south to southwest atmosphere of golf, because he performed fairly well. At the Phoenix Open, the Farmers, the American Express, the Sony Open, and then we hit Florida and cut, and then now we're back in Texas.
I think I read that he putts really bad on Bermuda greens.
Well,
it's very good on this is a bent Poana mixture. And that was the other thing I meant to say about Straka, which is so important. Big props to Jake Perry, who was on the in-between media 19th hole last night. Straka loses strokes. We know this just about everywhere on the greens. Like, not a good putter. If he was a good putter, Straka would be, probably top 5 player in the world right now. However, Bent Poana, he's a top 20 putter on tour in terms of strokes gained. It is literally the only surface that he gains strokes on, and he gains a lot of them. So, that to me makes Straka, because he fits the bill too. I mean, you got to, like, across the board, he kills par 5s, he kills par 4s. He is, whether it's 50 to 125 or you're 200 yards out, he's like top 15 in every freaking distance, it feels like, on strokes gained approach. He doesn't make many bogeys because he's such a good ball striker. And we've seen him start to play well at these type courses. Like, he's played well at Augusta in the last couple of years. And I really like Straka. Like, hearing that he can putt well, that's a huge advantage for him, because normally that is a weakness. And if he's going to gain strokes here on the field putting, like, I think he could be in for a big week.
Well, so far, I was just looking so far on this season in the 2026 year so far. He's played in 6 tournaments. He's only lost strokes putting in 2 of them.
Oh, so he's just improving.
And in those 2 that he lost strokes putting, he made the cut, and he finished T50 at the Genesis. And then losing strokes putting, almost a full stroke putting at negative 0.73, he still finished T18 at the Phoenix Open. So it hasn't been necessarily a detriment. He's only missed 1 cut so far in 2026, and that was his first tournament at the Amex, where he actually gained strokes putting, but he was
He was
stroke
off.
total was
Yeah.
off.
He
Yeah.
looked rusty.
Yeah, but it was his first tournament back, so it's all good. But yeah, other than that though, he's really put together a nice season, and I think, like you said, a big part of that is the putting because he really didn't have a great week at Genesis, yet he still made. Well, no, the Genesis didn't have a cut. That was signature, so that's why he didn't. I gotta remember that when I'm just vaguely looking at the schedule like that. Some of these didn't have cuts. But still, he's in at the Players. He looks fantastic. So yeah, Sepp
He's also
Straka.
got a higher make percentage from 15 to 25 feet than most guys on tour. And it's another thing Jake was talking about last night. That is a range that similar to you see 25% of approaches from 125 and within, which is well above the tour average. Same thing for 15 to 25 footers on this venue. I think it's like 8-9% higher than you do on a regular tour event. So that is something that I looked at, basically once I kind of ran my model, and something that if you're bored at work, check it out. Like you go to the PGA Tour site, they have all that information there.
Yeah, that's what before the days of like Bet Spurts and Fantasy National and like these really in-depth places, I would always just be clicking on the individual names on the PGAtour.com and just getting any stats I could find on there. So definitely recommend if you're dipping your toe in. That's a fantastic place to start. But that's going to do it for us tonight. I think that's we gave out a lot of names in a field that we think is fairly spread out. Keith has his strategy of keeping his player pool small this week. I think I'm going to do the same in that regards, just because I know myself. In a field where I think is spread out, I then get way too many tentacles out there, and it becomes I just cancel myself out basically. So you got to risk it for the biscuit. You got to take a stance, and that's what it's going to be this week. So good luck out there to everyone who's listening, who's playing. Once again, thank you for you listeners who have reached out personally in the last couple of weeks. I love seeing that the engagement, and I'm really thankful for that. And we hope to see more of it. And we love you guys as always. Thanks for watching, and stay classy.